Welcome to the Beau Show, the home of faith, family, and freedom. The three things that America was founded upon. But in order to preserve those three things, you have to have active creators and generators that pay them forward. One example of this is the crowdfunded TV series, The Chosen, which is about the life of Jesus Christ. Angel Studios, a brainchild of the Harmon brothers, is a platform empowering creators to crowdfund, create, and then distribute films and TV series globally with full creative control and backed by thousands of angel investors. Angel Studios is the home of stories that amplify light. Through its platform, thousands of angel investors choose which titles will be created, funded, and distributed. Angel Studios allows creators and audiences to form passionate communities around their creative projects, making the story behind the story as important as the final project itself. This is a very different model from how Hollywood makes its projects, meaning, usually, you would have this creative process that starts with a writer, goes to concept and screenplay, then attaches important creatives like directors and producers, then goes to raise the money for the project, then casts and shoots the project, and then finally distributes it. The hope is that the investors eventually get their return on investment. But it's a gamble, because many projects do not recoup that investment. And of course, many projects never get made. What Angel Studios has done is to put the consumers in control. They get to demand the projects they want to see made. This is what they call putting the audience on the other side of the screen. Here are Angel Studio execs Jeff and Neil Harmon talking about this. And so you're moving, as you said, the audience to the other side of the screen.
Yes.
You go from consumer to creator.
Yes.
Which is such. So do you think, guys, that this model is the greatest alternative to Hollywood created content we've ever seen?
We hope so.
Yeah, I would just tweak it a little bit because Hollywood has this incredible ability at their craft. Like when we've worked on The Chosen, they're craftsmen. When we worked on The Chosen, and The Chosen was shot on a set in Utah, guess what? We had to ship in crews from Hollywood.
Sure. Because
it was more expensive to hire equivalent talent in Utah. And so between the Actors Guild and the systems that they have there, these systems are being used.
Built amazing craftsmen.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a culture of craftsmen that know how to do art. What they really aren't good at is they're gatekeepers.
Yes.
This is a different model because Hollywood is so used to creating projects they feel will be well received and profitable. If you look at Top Gun back in the 80s, it was of course a big success. And the sequel, Top Gun Maverick, that just came out, performed extremely successfully as well. That was a situation where Hollywood got it right. The right recipe of story, collaborators, content, nostalgia, and delivery. Now contrast that with Billy Eichner's gay romance comedy, Bros, which underperformed and will never recoup the investment. So why did this happen? Well, at some point, Hollywood became out of touch with its consumers. Disney did this recently when they decided to go woke and scoff at families in support of a secular, progressive, genderless agenda. Here's the Harmon brothers' explanation for why Hollywood has lost its way, rather than creating content that's universally appealing.
The Hollywood executives are really, really bad at picking what we want, right? What the average person wants.
And they somehow lost that over the last 100 years because they were good at it and then they lost it. They lost their tuning to the audience.
Why do you think that happened? I mean, I think of, on my show I covered the Hollywood film Bros and how poorly it underperformed because it was a very woke, engineered piece of content. And so when I look at what Mark Wahlberg just did, which is moved from California to Nevada and wants to create a Hollywood 2.0 kind of system because he was about his faith, his family, and his freedom, which is the three pillars of my show, it's like, Why is that happening? Or are we seeing a resurgence and an awakening of content creators that's pulling those people that you said are bad gatekeepers away from the model?
So that's it, Beau. You've nailed it. There are a lot of creators out there who it's their calling to do content on faith, family, freedom, or other types of storylines. And the gatekeepers in Hollywood, they don't see it. They don't see the connection. They are there in their own bubble. But the moment somebody else opens the gate for them, like the Angel Guild, as soon as they open the gate, all these creators want to use their talents to amplify light. And they just need the opportunity.
It's not that Hollywood makes a bad product. They are really great at that. But when it comes to what they think people want, they'd rather insulate themselves in a bubble than actually listen to consumers. They become out of touch, and LA and New York have a tendency to circle their wagons around similar people who are generally rather liberal and faithless. So they create content along those lines. So rather than create The Chosen, they would rather conceptualize a project about a transgender Jesus who marched with people to protest the Pharisees' laws. And they'd probably make the chief Pharisee with blonde hair and a nice hat that says, "Make the Torah great again." That's seriously how they think. So Angel Studios did something different. They created an investment model that keeps the audience members personally invested in the product. They do this by watching a torch or a pilot of the project. If they like what they see, they can help fund it and get it made. And this segues me to The Chosen, which has been a huge success. Now remember, The Chosen is a crowdfunded TV series. It is not a movie. But last year, The Chosen, The Messengers finished number 4 at the box office. That means that only 3 Hollywood movies outperformed it, when The Chosen is merely a TV series that was doing this as a limited theatrical release outside of streaming. This past weekend's release is The Chosen Season 3, Episode 1 and 2. And it opened Friday to a box office gross of $3.7 million. Cumulatively, over the weekend, The Chosen grossed $8.6 million, which was number 3 overall at the box office. It was bested by number 2, The Menu by Searchlight, and number 1, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever by Walt Disney Motion Pictures. When you look at what The Chosen is competing against, it's all the big Hollywood studios, Warner Brothers, Universal, Paramount, and then you see this Jesus TV series by Fathom Events sticking out at number 3. This event will end up doubling the gross of last year's theatrical release of The Chosen. Let's look at a trailer for The Chosen Season 3.
You look troubled.
I am.
You're losing something. I know what that's like.
What are you losing?
Time.
I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you.
Someone touched me.
If you are really the one who is to come, should we look for someone else?
Go and tell John what you hear and see.
Who is it? Where did we stop?
It's him.
I'm Judas of Keriot.
I have chosen you 12 as my apostles.
Don't feel any different?
I don't need you to feel anything to do great things.
What is stirring in your hearts? In the middle of such division and unrest, is Father God being revealed to you? Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest.
A scourge of false prophecy must stop.
Jesus, if you do not renounce your words, we will have no choice but to follow the law of Moses.
I am the law of Moses.
They're here for Jesus of Nazareth.
More valuable than gold, more precious than rubies.
Force them out. We are still Rome.
Everyone then who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man who built his house on the rock.
I'm the one who caused their hunger. I should be the one to feed them.
He who has ears to hear, let him hear.
He who has ears to hear, let him hear. That really sums up a lot of Jesus' teaching, and at the same time offers the element of free will. If you have ears, then listen. You can see the imminent fate that he will face as the Pharisees become restless at his teachings and his transformational ability. He was like no other person. It scared them, and so they called him a false prophet. Jonathan Rumi, who plays Jesus in The Chosen, talked about what his approach is to playing the role.
I can never get into the mindset of Jesus, and I don't even try. You don't do that. How do you enter the mind of God?
For the role?
I start by praying. I start with prayer, and I go to my faith. I read the Bible. I pray. I go to Mass. I partake in the sacraments. I do the things that fill me up spiritually to prep me for the weeks ahead, and that's how I know that I'm sort of suited up.
Yeah.
You know, the armor of God, literally. That's my armor. So that's the first step, and then the next step is then to do the technical work, which is making sure I'm off book and I'm memorized, and sometimes some days are better than others, you know, or some days it's like the days leading up I'm in another country and I don't get to do the amount of prep work I would if I was just sitting here like waiting to shoot the following week. So you commit to it as best as you can, and for me that commitment is bringing an authenticity to it, a personal and spiritual commitment and authenticity to the role, and I can't do that if my faith is not a part of that.